All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today I wanted to talk about the Ekleta Accessories, and people have been asking me, is it worth converting like a Nav Karazad into the base Ekleta, or going to deck Karazad into a Tet Ekleta? Now, it's only been out for about a week and a half, well, Edania Part 2 that is, and I'm not telling anyone what to do. But if I were to recommend something, I would just say get your deck Karazad and convert it to a Tet Ekleta. And we're going to talk about my experience grinding for the first week and a half. And, you know, just talk about some pointers that I think are important to know. So first of all, this is where I'm at in terms of gear. And getting the materials to upgrade your accessories is probably one of the hardest things right now, because they have a very low drop rate, and it's like 1 to 3 accessories an hour. So let me show you guys this one. I know I've seen a couple of videos talking about, like, is it okay to do this, you know, under geared and everything. Just keep in mind, I went in with, you know, the only thing I could do at first was the first grind spot, and then I got the gear and upgraded. So a few things to know that, you know, people don't really talk about is every spot here, or at least the only 3 that I can do right now, which is the first one, second, and third one. These have a DPS check in terms of a timer. So you have 4 minutes to kill a bunch of ads. So like, it's kind of like a tower spot, right? You kill X amount of packs in 4 minutes. If you do that, you pass, and then you could go into the AFK phase. If you don't, it resets, you start over. And that is extremely inefficient if you're trying to go into the spots while under geared, and the DPS check is very difficult. So a few things I would recommend. If you don't already have full-on amplified twisteds, which is, well, actually, hold on, let me show you. Amplified twisteds, which is Edania damage. That is a lot of extra DPS you're missing. And if you already don't have like the best in slot crystals for everything, you're probably not meeting a lot of checks either. So if you like basically aren't at the soft cap of whatever gear, crystals, artifacts, and everything, and you're at Tet Karazads, or not Tet, like Nav, and you're thinking about converting into a base, I don't think that's a good idea, especially if you don't have deck sovereigns. This is a very end game, like DPS check and a timer. So I want to talk about some of the grind spots. This is the first one. The ideal goal is to get the wand and all the earrings. You get about like 1 to 3 per hour at every spot, and that's not great, especially because the rate of enhancing them has a soft cap. So for example, a Tet to a pen Ekleta accessory on a 220-ish stack, like 200 to 220, is like a 20%. But even if you were to go to like a 300 or 400 fail stack, it barely raises it to the point it's not even worth it. So most people are enhancing their accessories into 20-ish% range, and like you need 5 of these for every accessory, like 5 Twilight accessories, and then a bunch of Capris, Magical Shards, and Essence of Dawn. Those are the easy parts, by the way. Getting the 5 Twilights per 1 tap is at least like between 1 to 5 hours of grinding, and that's not great, especially if people are grinding under geared. It's gonna take you even longer if like you're under, like you have below average RNG and everything. So I think even if you were to stay at Zephyros and just be like, oh, I'll get my deck Karazad before converting into a Tet Ekleta, I think that's the better play. But yeah, a few things to note about the grind spots. DPS check in terms of a timer. A lot of people, you know, focus more on AP more than DP, and I would say it's actually very like rough on the DP, especially if you're grinding at night. It makes it even harder. Like sometimes I even get 100 to 0'd with like 497 DP. I know that, like full buffed and everything. So right now we have a crystal event on, which is you don't lose crystals if you die. thank God. But like, if you're watching this a week or two later when that event ends, people are going to be losing crystals even at the first spot just because, you know, you're getting bursted down. So you really do want as much gear before going into Edania Part 2. And like, when people tell you you'll be fine, like, I don't think so, because a lot of these spots, especially the third one where a lot of people are at, these are hard DPS checks, and you have to know your class, meet the checks and timers itself. You have to have like all the best in slot crystals, artifacts, and everything. So yeah, not only is it practice, but if you're going in here like under, it's gonna be a rough time, and you might not get as much loot. So yeah, it's one of those things where I just wanted to talk about that and make it more of like a PSA to people. Like, if you're thinking about converting into a basic Ekleta and you don't have anything, if you're doing it now while nothing is sitting on the market, for example, like if you're watching this maybe a year down the line from now, it might be different. But as of now, these are not selling. Everyone who gets them, they're using it on their own tasks. So all the endgame players. And also one other thing I wanted to talk about was, you see how all these accessories right here, the Empyrean, I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, these basically don't exist. In about a week and a half, I have maybe like 70-ish hours of grinding. That's a lot, a lot more than my normal average. I have not seen a single one of these. So these are like base Devo OG drop rates from back in the day. If you've played it for a while, you know what Devo drop rates were before they buffed all of them. So yeah, not great. These basically don't exist. These Twilight accessories drop like 1 to 3 an hour. I would say maybe like 1 to 2, just on average. 3 and up is considered pretty lucky. And so yeah, never seen one of these vestige lights at any spot either. I know some of my guildies have, but they're not common. Getting the fusion shards and the Nevs fragments, you get like 1 to 2, maybe 3 an hour as well. Not great. And also bottlenecked out on the market for everything. That doesn't help. And yeah, it's just one of those things where drop rates are so low at the current time. You really want to stack as much stats as you can before going in. Drop rate for accessories, pretty low. So it may seem like you're spending more going to a deck or a deck Karazot and converting. But trust me on it, if you're grinding in any of these spots undercapped, you're not going to have a great time. So yeah, just wanted to make that as a PSA video. I wanted to share my experience with it. So to give you an idea, right now, 20% success rate. I'm using a pretty optimal stack. Each click, let's just say roughly 3 hours of grinding. 20 hours on this one, just for all of it to fail. Admittedly, I did get lucky on the rings a little bit, and belt, I just grinded a lot, like, you know. So one other thing I guess people are going to be asking, let's say you're going for another piece, the Aphrodon Temple. This one only gives you the earring, whereas the second spot, it gives you the earring and ring. Third spot, earring, ring, and belt. Third spot, for example, because they're introducing a new accessory into the mix for every spot that's a higher tier, the newer one is going to be prioritized a little bit more in terms of, like, for example, if you're grinding the temple right here, you're going to get the belt more than the other two, which, you know, understandable. It should be that way. It's good. So for example, if you're able to grind the third spot, but you're hard stuck with a Tet earring and it keeps failing, it's not really helping. So yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of have to meet the checks and get lucky a little bit as well, or at least grind the same spot over and over to get the new new crystal for Edania damage. So yeah, it's a lot of micromanaging everything, and hopefully in the future they just, you know, increase the drop rate of the Twilight accessories, the Empyrean accessories. But as of right now, is it better to do the, you know, conversion? I think you should get deck and then convert it into a Tet Ekleta, just because you're skipping a lot of hours, assuming your average RNG. And that's about it. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to make a note because I've seen a lot of other videos of people talking about it, and I just wanted to share my experience with how I've been doing everything for the past, week and a half. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic day, and I got some more videos coming out tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.